Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It's our health unit for the month of November. And today we're going to talk about drinking milk or consuming dairy products, which a lot of Westerners do. And of course, here in Taiwan, y'all like your milk and yogurt as well. But some people have problems eating dairy products. They have something called lactose intolerance. Maybe you've heard of this before.
Well, I am lactose intolerant. I'm using the adjective form there. Lactose intolerance is a noun phrase. So lactose intolerance just means your body can't tolerate any sort of dairy because you're missing an enzyme which helps actually digest the lactose. It's called lactase. We'll talk more about that as we get into the article. But I still eat dairy, even though sometimes my stomach isn't very happy about it. A lot of times it doesn't bother me. So, yeah, I think a lot of people have this. I'm seeing here in Taiwan more and more milk being sold in the stores that have prepared the milk for lactose intolerant people. They add that enzyme that you really need that a lot of people's bodies are missing. So that's nice. It wasn't here when I first moved back to Taiwan 15 years ago. But now they have it. I'm happy.
Interesting. A roommate of mine in the past, a Western guy, we lived in Beito at the time.
Right.
And he had this problem, and there was only one supermarket in Beito that sold milk that was low lactose or something like that. So he always made a special trip over there to pick some up. And I guess, as you're saying there, this kind of milk is quite common in grocery stores here in Taiwan, or at least in some.
Well, it's not common, but yeah, you can find it.
Well, if you have this problem, you probably know where to go to find it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the subject for today's lesson, lactose intolerance. Why some say no to dairy. I don't think I could say no to dairy because I like my yogurt and I like my cheese too much. But let's find out what this is all about. Let's read the entire contents of our lesson right now, and then we'll come back to discuss it. As we age, our bodies undergo many changes. Some of these changes happen during our teenage years, such as the deepening of the voice, while other changes occur as we mature into middle and old age. No two human bodies are exactly alike, however. One change that affects some people and not others is losing the ability to process lactose, a sugar found in dairy products. During childhood, our bodies produce ample amounts of an enzyme called lactase. It helps us digest the lactose in our mother's milk, which provides essential nutrients in our first years of life. As we start consuming solid foods, though, our need for lactase decreases. By adulthood, lactase production can drop so drastically in some people that milk and other dairy products become intolerable. When this occurs, sufferers of lactose intolerance can experience diarrhea, stomach cramps, gas, and bloating. It may also cause nausea or even vomiting in severe cases. These symptoms can occur anywhere between 30 minutes to a few hours after consuming dairy. However, avoiding dairy can also have adverse effects as it's a key source of calcium in our diet. What is it that causes some people to be more vulnerable to lactose intolerance than others? While there are several risk factors, age and race stand out the most. Lactose intolerance mostly affects adults. As for race, lactose intolerance is more likely to affect people of African, Asian, and Hispanic descent. For those living with lactose intolerance, there are some ways to deal with the problem. They can find calcium in other foods like soy or broccoli instead of dairy. And while consuming less dairy may be the best solution for some, it can still be possible to enjoy a dish of ice cream or a cold glass of milk after taking a lactase pill to assist digestion.
Okay, guys, lactose intolerance. So looking up at the title there, intolerance is actually one of our vocabulary words. If you're intolerant, which is the adjective form of this noun, it just means you are not accepting or tolerant of other people's views or beliefs or behavior. Oh, he's so intolerant. But also, if your body is intolerant to something, it just means your body doesn't like something. You're unable to eat something or digest something. Here we're talking about lactose, which is something that's found in dairy. Dairy includes milk, yogurt, sour cream, cheese, all those good things. So why some people say no to dairy? Why? We're going to tell you now.
We will try to tell you that indeed. And as we age, as we get older, our bodies undergo many changes. And yes, indeed, some of our dear students are adolescents. Maybe they're children and they are entering adulthood. They're going through puberty. So yes, your bodies might be undergoing many changes. Here we've got the verb to undergo. That just means you have to experience some kind of process. And it might be a little difficult. It might be unpleasant. There might be some pain involved. So yeah, you may have to undergo surgery, for example, if you have something wrong with you in your body. Oh, I've got this pain. I went to see the doctor and they said, yes, I need to have an operation, so I need to undergo surgery next week.
Ooh. So undergo changes, undergo surgery. Some of these changes happen during our teenage years, as Tom said. Here's some of the changes. For the guys, your voice will get more, it will get deeper. It will deepen.
Deepen, yeah.
Deepen. Yeah, deepen is a verb there. His voice is deepening. I remember I would call my sister sometimes on the phone. She had two kids who were very close in age. One was a girl, one was a guy. So they would answer the phone maybe when they were like 11 or 10. And I could not tell them apart. And it would make the boy, Austin, upset at me because I'd call him Missy.
Oh, no.
And he would get upset because that's his sister's name. But then, as all guys do, their voices change and it got deeper. And suddenly, it was no longer confusing to me who was answering the phone. So that's one change that we'll go through if you're a guy in your teenage years. Now, other changes occur as we mature into middle and old age. So middle age is like 40, 50. Old age is more like 70, 80. There are more changes that happen to the human body. But as we all know, no two human bodies are exactly alike, however. So sometimes some people go through this change and others don't. And one of the changes that we're going to be talking about is this lactose intolerance that some people go through and others do not.
Exactly. So yeah, there are changes happening to us all throughout our lives, not just during puberty, but also as we mature into middle age and old age. And yeah, no one is exactly alike, but yes, we're talking about lactose intolerance as the change that affects some people, but not others. And again, just in case you didn't catch it, lactose is a sugar found in dairy products, okay? And that's the problem there, that lactose intolerance, of course, means you have difficulty eating dairy products like milk, cheese, cottage cheese, and stuff like that. And during childhood, our bodies produce ample amounts of an enzyme called lactase. Okay, so here we've got the word enzyme, and that's a chemical term here. It's something that is produced in your body that basically tries to cause physical reactions, or at least biochemical reactions in your bodies. It's kind of difficult to explain exactly what it is using simple language, but hey, if we knew the Chinese term, we could just say that.
Yeah, it's something that causes a change or a biochemical reaction in your body. So it's something that kind of triggers something else and starts this reaction happening. But if you're missing this particular enzyme, then your body reacts differently to whatever you're putting into your mouth. So during childhood, all of our bodies have ample amounts or plenty of this enzyme that's called lactase. It's that lactase that helps break down the sugar called lactose. They're very similar words. So it helps us digest the lactose in our mother's milk, which provides essential nutrients in our first years of life. Now, you probably have noticed that when you're young, you're always encouraged to drink lots of milk, to develop, to grow taller, to get strong bones, to improve those teeth. Remember, kids are growing teeth when they're little as well. So all of those things are important. They're essential nutrients. When you see that word nutrients, we're talking about things that keep your body or make your body healthy, like vitamins and minerals. Those are nutrients. And you need those things because they're essential for your growth and also to maintain good health.
Indeed, like vitamins and minerals, those are nutrients. And as we start consuming solid foods, though, our need for lactase decreases. So yeah, we start eating other kinds of foods. We don't eat that baby mushy stuff, that,
oatmeal.
The Gerber baby food they serve in jars in the United States or whatever. You don't need that kind of stuff. You can have solid food. So then we don't really need the lactase so much. Our need for it decreases, goes down. And by adulthood, when we are adults, lactase production can drop so drastically in some people that milk and other dairy products become intolerable. So yeah, the production in our body of lactase goes down greatly. It can drop really drastically. It drops so drastically in some people that milk becomes intolerable. So here we've got this pattern, so something, that something. So we're talking about the result of something big happening that causes a big result. So yeah, I can be so angry that I'm shaking, for example. That's one example of that particular pattern here. Drastically just means a very, very big amount, something that is really noticeable and can cause trouble.
Yeah, I'm so thirsty that I drank a liter of water. You can use it that way. Drastic is an adjective, and drastically, of course, is the adverb form. It just means to an extreme amount. If someone does something drastic, it's kind of crazy, right? If you're on a drastic diet, you're probably not eating very much food because you want to lose weight so badly. Don't do that. So you can drop, this lactase production can drop so dramatically in some people, like me, that milk and other dairy products become intolerable. Your body can't tolerate it. Right now, we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher who will explain a bit more, and then we'll be back to talk more about lactose intolerance.
谢谢美语老师。Hello, my name is Shelby. 今天来看看乳糖不耐症。文章一开始说，随着我们变老，我们的身体会经历许多改变。Age 当作动词表示老化 ，undergo 经历，三态是 undergo、underwent、undergone。下一句，有些改变呢是在青少年时期，例如嗓音变低。While other changes occur， 当我们进入中老年纪，我们来看一下 occur 这个字，发生，事情当作主词，写成 something occurs to somebody。还有常用句型 it occurs to somebody 加 to be， 表达某人突然想到。例如 it occurs to me to visit my teacher， 我想到要去看看我的老师。第三句，没有两个身体会完全相同 are alike 相似的A and B are alike。 接着，其中一个改变会影响特定某些人的是处理乳糖的能力 lactose 后面有逗点，用同位语说明什么叫乳糖。这是一种糖被发现在 dairy products 乳制品。到第二段，第一句，在孩童时期，我们的身体会制造一种叫做 lactase 乳糖酶的酵素，它会帮助分解乳糖。在我们出生的那几年，随着我们开始吃固体食物，对乳糖酶的需求便降低。看第三句 As we start consuming solid foods， as 副词连接词，这里当随着， consume 是消费或吃。吃这个动作呢，一般用字用 eat、have 或 consume。依照程度还有其他的表示方式， take a bite 是咬一口， nibble N-I-B-B-L-E 小口小口的吃 Devour D-E-V-O-U-R 是指大吃特吃。第4句，在成年之前乳糖酶下降快速，以至于呢牛奶或奶制品变得无法忍耐了。句型 so that 子句，如此以至于怎么样 so 后面搭配形容词或者副词，用法用于强调的功能。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, let's continue with our lesson. We're talking about lactose intolerance, and basically we were just talking about why it happens. Again, our bodies go through various changes. As we get older, we start to eat more solid foods, and then our lactase production drops drastically. And then, of course, some people have the problem of lactose intolerance as a result. This did not happen to me. I've been able to consume dairy products all my life. But I guess this is a problem for you. So maybe that happened to you when you were becoming an adult there.
I was about 21, yeah.
Okay. I guess that sounds reasonable here, or at least logical according to what this article says. But here in the next paragraph it says, when this occurs, when this happens, sufferers of lactose intolerance can experience various problems, such as diarrhea, stomach cramps, gas, and bloating. Diarrhea, of course, I don't want to really explain these things in detail, but they're basically problems that you have with your stomach there. Stomach cramps, those can be quite unpleasant. It feels like your stomach is kind of tightening up and it's kind of painful. Gas can come out of your mouth or your butt. And bloating, of course, is kind of when you feel like you're really kind of getting bigger and bigger and it's difficult to breathe and stuff like that.
Well, your stomach gets bigger. It's really uncomfortable. So, yeah, these are not fun symptoms that sufferers go through. It may also cause something called nausea, or you can pronounce this nausea. I think more people say nausea. Just learn that one. Or even vomiting in severe cases. Yeah, I've never vomited, after I've eaten something that had dairy in it. That's really, really pretty drastic or severe. Severe just means very great, very intense. Yeah, hopefully no one out there has it that bad. If you're experiencing nausea or you're nauseous, which is the adjective form, it just means you kind of feel like you want to throw up, but you don't. It's a horrible feeling if you have the flu. Often you feel nauseous because you have that nausea. And again, hopefully you're not actually vomiting or throwing up. That would be a really bad or severe case, being lactose intolerant. These symptoms can occur anywhere between 30 minutes to a few hours after consuming dairy. If it's going to bother me, it usually bothers me after I've eaten it. It's probably been an hour for me. If I start feeling bad, then I'll go home, but I want to be near a bathroom, if you know what I mean. A symptom is a word we use to describe some of the features of some sort of condition or disease that we might have. For example, if you have a cold, the symptoms could be a runny nose, coughing. You could have a fever occasionally. The symptoms for lactose intolerance are, again, what Tom went through. Things like diarrhea, bloating, gas, just feeling a little nauseous. All of those things are possible symptoms.
Right, and I guess they don't happen right away. They can occur anywhere between 30 minutes to a few hours after consuming dairy. So, yeah, you have a cheeseburger or something like that, and then a half hour later, or maybe longer than that, you start experiencing these symptoms. However, avoiding dairy can also have adverse effects, as it's a key source of calcium in our diet. So, yeah, maybe you could just say, well, I just won't eat dairy products. But there's a problem there because you need to get your calcium from someplace. And dairy products, of course, provide a lot of calcium, especially with milk there. They're always telling us, yeah, drink your milk to get calcium. Well, here's another question in the next paragraph. What is it that causes some people to be more vulnerable to lactose intolerance than others? Yeah, why do you have it and why don't I? We're about the same age. We're both Caucasian white people. Hey, why do you have this problem and why don't I? What's the difference there?
Well, there are several risk factors. Age and race stand out the most. If something stands out, just means it's really obvious. You can see it clearly. I had a friend who was very tall, and so when the group of my friends and I would go out to a party or something else, that one friend would always stand out because she was 5'11", which is almost 6 feet tall. And she was much taller than the rest of us. She always stood out in a crowd. So if you stand out or if something stands out, it's just something that's very noticeable. So lactose intolerance mostly affects adults. Yeah, you don't hear about kids being lactose intolerant. I've never heard of that, actually. As for race, lactose intolerant is most likely to affect people of African, Asian, and Hispanic descent. Descent is a word that just means going down, right? But here, we're talking about races or groups of people, and so we'll often use this word to talk about someone's background or their origin in terms of their family, their ancestors, where they come from, their nationality. So if you're of Asian descent, just means your ancestors originated or came from Asia, some country in Asia. I don't hear about lactose intolerance very much here in Taiwan, though.
Yeah, I haven't really heard of it either, but maybe you know somebody yourselves, or maybe you yourself are lactose intolerant.
Experiencing it, yeah.
And Hispanic here just refers to people from Spain or Latin America, Central America or South America. That's Hispanic. And as you said, descent, that just means you have ancestors before you that were from these places.
Right.
Now, for those living with lactose intolerance, if you have this problem, there are some ways to deal with the problem. There are some ways for you to make it less painful or whatever. And these people can find calcium in other foods like soy or broccoli instead of dairy. So you have soybeans in your diet, have a lot of dojang, for example, and you can have broccoli. That's a vegetable that is very healthy and it's very good for you. So those are some substitutes that you can consider if you can't have dairy products.
That's right. So while consuming less dairy may be the best solution or answer for some, it can still be possible to enjoy a dish of ice cream or a cold glass of milk after taking a lactase pill to assist digestion. Those can be found in drugstores. Talk to your drugstore person, your pharmacist. You could say drugstore or pharmacy here. Talk to them about whether they have lactase pills for sale. And if you take that in advance and then eat something that has the lactose in it, some sort of dairy, maybe you'll be able to skip all of those symptoms and not suffer so much by eating dairy. I can get away with eating sour cream pretty easily. It never bothers me. So some things may bother your stomach and others may not. You just have to see, and that is done by trial and error, which means you have to try it and then find out what does bother you.
Yeah, if you really like your ice cream, maybe you could head to Shenkeng there and have some tofu ice cream, which should not have any dairy in it. So the point there is to seek out substitutes or whatever. And of course, as you said, use trial and error to figure out how you can deal with this problem. And hopefully you can find milk that is low lactose and you won't get sick and have diarrhea and stuff like that. We wish you the best. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Let's now listen to our Chinese teacher explain some things to you.
第3段，当这个发生时，乳糖不耐症的人可能会有 diarrhea 腹泻 stomach cramps 胃痉挛 cramps 是钳子或者抽筋排气和 bloating 胀气 bloat 使东西胀大加上 ing 当名词严重的还会引起恶心呕吐到最后一句然而避免乳制品会有反作用 因为它是我们饮食中钙的关键来源。Adverse 逆向的 adverse effect 反效果，又例如 adverse weather conditions 恶劣的天气。第4段，什么原因让有些人更容易罹患乳糖不耐症？ Vulnerable 易受影响的， To be vulnerable to something 表示易受什么的伤害。下一句，尽管有好几个危险因素，年纪及种族最为显著。连接词 while 当虽然表达这句话前后立场不一样。Risk factors 是危险因素，动词 stand out 突出来，表示年纪跟种族比其他原因影响更大。乳糖不耐症影响成年人。第4句，至于种族更可能影响非洲、亚洲或者是西班牙裔。As for 加名词，至于 as for race 至于种族， as for my past 至于我的过去。Hispanic 是西班牙的，在美国常听到的字有 Hispanic 和 Latino， 都是在说西班牙裔美国人。Hispanic 泛指以西班牙文为母语的人， Latino 特别是指中南美洲说西班牙文的拉丁裔。还有一个字专门指墨西哥裔的美国人， Chicano Chicano， 因为美国有很多的墨西哥裔，所以这个字也很常见。Descend 是下降血统， of English descent 有英国人的血统， of Japanese descent 有日本人的血统。第4段谈到解决之道，那对于那些与乳糖不耐症共存的人，有好几个解决方法，他们可以在其他食物找到钙质。第2句后面 instead of dairy 代替乳制品， instead of 后面加动名词或者是名词，表示代替什么。相似片语我们还可以看 in place of dairy， place P-L-A-C-E， 或者是 in preference of dairy， preference P-R-E-F-E-R-E-N-C-E， 喜爱或偏爱的意思。第2句，虽然少食用乳制品是解决的方式，还是能享受冰淇淋或牛奶，在服用乳糖酶药片帮助消化后。句子最后的 to assist digestion 帮助消化， assist 帮助，常用 assist somebody in something 来表达。例如，他协助设计那座新桥， He assists in designing the new bridge。 以上是今天的讲解，谢谢收听。
So that's it, guys. We hope you learned a little bit more about being lactose intolerant. And if you are lactose intolerant, talk to your pharmacist or drugstore to see if they have a pill you can pick up and give it a try. For English Digest, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom. Goodbye.
See ya.